Like when it comes to the food, everybody says Shabbos, the food, the money's coming back. The administrator is always one that also asks the same question. The same Gemara says it on Talmud Torah, and the same Gemara says it, that when you give money out for kids, for Torah, you get that money back. The same Gemara that says about food for Shabbos, that same Gemara in the exact same sentence says the same in Benishima Achas, says that the same thing is also...
They take an Ashima beforehand.
What?
They take an Ashima before they say the next part.
Right. An Ashima, what do you call it? That's why it's Pusam, right? The Shrab, with the Shvurim's ending, you make an Ashima intuition. It's ending, it's Pusam that is the Shvurim. So that was the example of the Ashima Achas.
What else does it say? It says about Shabbos, you can borrow, you can take money on a Shabbos.
So it says, Lo V'Lav V'Ni Parai. So someone asked the Chazanish.
What else? Yeshiva and...
No, that's what we're saying.
Yeshiva's Chalim, we don't believe in it.
We're mixing two different things. I went too fast, let me go back, I'm sorry. Step back.
Oh, I'm sorry.
The Gemara says that there are three things that you pay for that does not come off the money, off the account from the Rosh Hashanah. But Rosh Hashanah, you wouldn't buy it. Rosh Hashanah, money from a person is K'tzivim Rosh Hashanah, Rosh Hashanah. Right. Chitz me Tam Torah, Tzu Shabbos.
Money for Shabbos,
right.
Money for
that's a different thing. That's nothing.
What's the third one?
The third one, I think the Gemara sticks in Chodesh or Yontif. What was the third thing? Is there to Shabbos, Yontif, to Shabbos v'Yontif Burim Tam Torah. Shabbos Yontif Burim Tam Torah. I think maybe I'm Daf Yitzayin. I think in Bayern. There's Yitzayin over there at the end over there by Akapunim. So.
And the second is.
Yeah, but I was going on. I was talking on the Lo V'Lav V'Ni Parai. So someone once asked the Chaznish, listen, I want to borrow money for someone. I have no clue how I'm going to pay him back. Am I allowed to? Chazal. I have an Eibishter. I have a Gemara that tells me. So I want to go and do it in real. So we're talking about back to the story, right, with the Alter from Kelm. So it's in real. I want to practice this. So Chaznish said, listen, my friend, he says, I want to tell you something. If you had money and someone told you that this is his Araibis, this is his Urif, I asked him, how do I know you're going to pay me back? And the guy would tell me with an honest thing. He would tell you, don't worry, who's going to tell me? God's going to pay you back. Would you lend him the money? Would you lend him the money, Chazan said? Tell me the truth now. Would you lend him money? No. So cut it out. Cut it out, all right? When you get
it, you don't really mean it.
Cut it out, all right? Stop living and Yenis in Yeda Leipzig and Yenis Shechanurach.
If you would really mean it, you wouldn't ask the Chazanish.
What?
If you really mean it, you wouldn't ask the Chazanish.
You know what Rabbi Shapiro once said? He went collecting. He was one of the most famous collectors because he was the first one who basically had a yeshiva, a dormitory in the Yantzach. So a wealthy guy tells him, come on, we all know, what is this nonsense with kitchens and food and dormitories and things? And my grandfather told me that he was there for a year in Chacham Lebling. He said he never walked out of the premises, out of the campus. There was a grocery there was a cleaner washing.
In Poland?
In Poland, yeshiva.
The yeshiva,
and his Tam Gestalt, he said, I never walked out for a whole year out of the campus of, maybe it's a new mahalach for today. I never walked out, there was a lot of working space. There was a lot of, he said for a year, I didn't leave the campus of the yeshiva. Now again, we weren't connected like we're today, obviously. It was a little bit different in the 1930s, and but the bottom line is that Ramay Shapir, so the guy tells him, the wealthy man screams at him, he says, what do you mean? He says, this is what is this not?
You don't need that.
So he tells him like this. So he tells him, you know what the problem in the world is? He says, you have the guys in Lakewood in the coffee room or places. I'm talking about, this guy, Reichman, does give Maisa. He doesn't give Maisa. If he would give Maisa, it would be enough for every yeshiva to live on. It would be enough. And this wealthy guy, he's now weighing into the Forbes. He's worth millions of dollars. He's for sure. If he would give his Maisa, the whole yeshiva would have been enough for kids, and it would have been enough for kids. He says, jeder ein is busy with the andere Shulchan Aruch. He says, the wealthy guy has to know his Shulchan Aruch, Hilchas Masas. Not Hilchas Pasme Melech Teuchel. The Bucher, the Talmud Chochem has to know, yes, he has to know his. The problem is everyone throws on each other. The other guy's Shulchan Aruch, the other guy's Halacha. That's what Ramay Shapiro says. Anyway, let's get back. So the Alter from Kelm told his brother He says like this, he says, now I got into it, I got into that moment. That's by the way also of Chishav Las Mitzvah, and then that's what is that the Eibishter gives the schar to the person. The Ois Mitzvah Tzibur or Chishav Las Mitzvah is you actually got involved. You weren't just dreaming about a certain mitzvah and then you didn't do it. You actually got involved to a certain extent and you tried doing it and you did it. But teen and the stove teen. Anyway, Al Kapunim, let me get to the Chovos Halevavos. One other thing I want to say over it, one more little thing for Psul Salanta. Salanta, the Mulge Frektaka, he had a koil with the yeshiva, and he went over to Balbus. He went to collect money from him. He asked him, he told him, not collect. He wasn't collecting. He was actually telling him about how much and how much they cost him and how much the whole thing. He was talking to him, so to speak, basically in a way, so his Talmud was standing near him. And after he says, Rebbe, he says, "Weiß der Yid, hat nicht kein Geld bekommen. Hat nicht kein Sach." The Rebbe was spending so much time on explaining him and how much things cost. How much. So he tells him, I have to do something. This is the person that he had. But even though gewinnt Schleppers in Stutt. No, so is es. Nicht gewinnt kann ich hin. You have a lot of times certain places, certain chassidus in certain areas, certain shuls where the bottom line is, ich darf. How it's going to happen, where it's going to happen, I did my thing. What I can do. Finish. Ich darf nicht tun mehr. Ich darf tun. Ich weiß, by oft tun and accomplishing, getting things done. And that's what we have to remember as we get it. Let's go into the Chovos Halevavos. There's the Chovos Halevavos like this. So the Chovos Halevavos, what is the reasons why the Eibishter made on us that we should have to, so to speak, suffer so much and have to, man basically has to run after food, money, food his whole life. Health, food, and so many things that basically we have a short life. 70, 80, 90, Baruch Hashem today the rates are going into the 90s already. But the bottom line is, why do we have this concept where we have to be mesabev achrem tzui pan nesusoi Shaar HaBitachon Chovos? Two main reasons. Before we get, I don't know if we'll get to the famous reason, but let's first start with the first thing. Tam Echad he is like this. We have to remember, the Rebbeinu Shalom doesn't hate us. Rebbeinu loves us. We have to get this very clear and straight. The Chai Olam, the Stipler, has a gorgeous cipher. I don't know if anyone ever saw it. Very skinny black cipher. Chai Olam, Kehelis Yaakov, you know those things. So it used to be whatever. So this one of the Surim are called Chai Olam, and he talks over there. I remember I was a bocher when I learned it with a Chavisa in Yeshiva. And it stayed on me till today. It stays on me so strong. We so many times have questions, but sometimes everybody, the kasha alone is the teretz. Why do we put so much on me, so many restrictions? What's likes to me off? Nishas and days, nishas and yens. Don't work on Shabbos. Don't this. Don't take ribbis. Don't team. Don't. Do it this now. Do like this. Do like that. Do that. Yeah. And by the way, this is one of the. I heard this from a big psychiatrist. He told me that a psychologist. He told me that he believes the whole entire at risk in the ganze Sache. Gunstim mit Yidden, so Gunstim mit Sotzetim. It's by the Goyish world. Everyone knows it. It has to do with one thing. It has nothing to do. It's people are pointing the whole time on the wrong problems. I'm not saying everything, they're not the real seed, no, they don't need to add. So it distracts you of this and it brings you to another thing, but that's not the problem. The whole Yesod, that's what he claims, I think he has a very valid point, that the whole Yesod of the Yesod is, that's what he claims is, that most teenagers, and today you could unfortunately say already about people older, and it's not completely their fault, because it has to do also with the way you're raised, and a lot of kids unfortunately are not raised because of the parents. But the problem is that they have no coping skills. Plain and simple. Nothing to do with Yiddishkeit, nothing to do with hating the Irish, nothing with nothing. There's no coping skills. That's why the majority who make it through by kids, who don't get lost or die dead on the way, usually end up coming back, he claims. That's his thought on it. Because their coping skills at 24 come in, at 26, at 28, it comes in later on, and what? Coping.
How to manage a problem. And deal with a stress.
Coping.
There's no Yiddish word for it.
You see,
No Yiddish word for coping.
It's Kevin coping.
Come on, give me a quick word here for Yiddish, coping. Let's go.
Hedge.
What? No
You
pets.
get pets, you know what to call
No. Well, that's close
No,
enough.
that gets rid of the zitz
That's
fight.
one of the
No,
reasons.
that's
by
what
the
they
way.
tried to do years ago.
By
It
the
didn't work.
way, this whole new mahalach of the last 40 years. You know, I used to work in Rikers. I had over there,
My
You work here?
the psychiatric part.
You work
A
here?
woman, 75 years old, told me
How
when
long
I was
ago?
a kid. When I was a kid in the 50s, she tells me. She was then.
He
She
worked
was
there,
then.
I guess?
Yeah. So
My
she tells me that my teacher used to put me in the closet. She used to lock the closet on me when I didn't behave. My teacher in public school
You don't have
in
to
the
wait till the
50s.
50s. We had that when I was a kid.
Yeah, but you didn't have it in public school. She's telling me in public school.
Oh,
We're always just playing. Unfortunately, in clothing and a lot of things, from all sides.
We're a couple
We
years
basically,
behind, but not
right.
Yeah, you were able
Sometimes
to
30
pick
years,
up your
sometimes
hand.
20 years, sometimes 10 years.
Even a parent.
Sometimes a certain chadurim. The bottom line is, from this whole new generation, by the way, I think is much more in fault than the whole internet and everything, is the fault that basically parents were forced over the last 30 years not to be any more parents. You know, I had a fear from my father. I'm not
parents
saying.
are trying to be their kids' friends.
That's right.
That's the
And
problem
no, but that's
today.
the way they guided the last 30 years.
Yeah.
You're not allowed to because your kid also.
We're going down
Because he
dark
can
rabbit
call
hole here now.
because he can call the police on you also, and he can get you locked up. And what do you call? It's like my friend, my chavisa told me that his son. He said he's a kindergarten rebbe. He told all the mothers in the he called everyone. Was geschenkt, he says. And it happens, I ain't touching because I'm going to be arrested. I touch. So Mamaila, I ain't cleaning. All I get is I call you up and you come here and clean your child. I don't care, 4 or 5 years old. I used to clean kids. I'm done with that. I can't afford it. I can't afford myself, my shadich, my nothing. I don't want to know nothing. I don't care. I'm going to call you, tell you it's a bamach, but that's it. That's it. I'm done. But back in the old world, it wasn't a problem, right? It wasn't. But I'm not saying a lot of it is for good reasons. A lot of it is for bad reasons. But unfortunately, we're in a situation where we don't have that koyach, that enforcement. Mamaila, in what it produced is, we don't yet see the big gedolim that came out from it yet. It's probably on the way. It's sometimes from this whole new way of being mechanech. But one thing we definitely do see is a lot of, I don't want to call them soider moiders because it's not their fault, but a lot of people who are what do you call, based because they don't have a father, based that they don't have a mother, and based was.
Otherwise it doesn't work.
Rabbi Yechiel Salman writes in the Sefer Mushinna de Gezach. You know what he writes? He writes that Yosef HaTzadik, you know what held him back at the end of the day, the last minute? Chadom Rav, that he went in to actually do the Avaida, right? Machlokes Rav Shmuel, Rashi says, right? What held him back? Chazal say, Ru de mis diiknoi shel ovav. He saw. You know what he said to himself? He said, what happened was he saw the picture of his father's face. He says there's an obligation, and this is the old school. There's an obligation of every parent to put in a fear into a child that what will I do if Tati faces me, and what's if this gets out and Tati finds out about this? There should be, I can't. No way. So I'm out. I can't afford the risk that Tati will find out about this. So as long as you're in that league, if the kid is, that's not my worst fear. It's much worse that my wife finds out, or my kid finds out, or whatever, or my job, my employer, or I couldn't care less, or I hit the head, or what do you call, Mr. Gahakta Tzudas.
The worst fear today is that you're going to be on YouTube.
Right, but but then, what do you call? It's not that Tati will find out from YouTube. That's not the bothers him. So whatever. But the point is that let's go back. Wow. I was completely gone on that one. So anyway, back to the Chayyim. So Chayyim says, what the Irish in Zuarugabek? What's that in Zuarugabek mitzvahs? Why did he bring us down over here? Ganzen talk, we'll catch what do you call? And this is what, how do we cope with this? And this is what this guy said, just told me. Yiddishkeit is one stick coping. You have to, it's kind of soil, it's coping. You have to cope, you have to fast today. I'm getting beaten, I'm starving, I have a headache, I have to work now, I can't. What do you, leave me alone? Yeah, it's 4 o'clock, you gotta leave the store, you can't, no. It's a whole day, I'm being controlled. I can't cope. I just can't, right? So what is it? It says, Chayyim says that when we come to, he says like this, he says, the Eibishter took us as an Amar Nivcha, and he talks all positive. He talks about the whole Indian of afterlife. Because at the end of the day, a ganze Tug was Mesukens Tzi, and what we see always is, and what we believe in, and that's the fundamental of our Yiddishkeit, of our Yisoidis, that we believe in afterlife. We believe as in Leben, is Yeshchava Oynish, and the Film Davis Day Welt, and the Irish is of Yana Welt, and the ganze Sach is around and around this, right? He says, how do I prove it? How do I prove it? Says the Steipler. Steipler says very black and white. It's either you hold the Eibishter, obviously, then just walk off, and that's what atheists hold and whatever one. Either you hold the Eibishter as the most cruel. Why would he demand from the Yiddish nation that does mitzvahs? Why would he demand, and then you just drop into a pit after you die, and it's over? Why would he be so rude to the people who follow him, to the people who follow and listen to him? They get hurt the hardest. That's what it boils down to. They get hit the hardest. The guy was doing the guy, what do you call? Okay, he drops into that. At least he was. The guy was his whole life serving. Elamai Elamai Azamin Achzer Chas v'Shalom. Azoy stark Azamin Achzer of them. Something missing. He says to him, Zug the Steiper, Azoy Shrabter. Obviously, Chazal, there's all kinds of reasons why Steinish were finishing the Torah, the Gemara bringing the Muslim, and Allah Zachem. But obviously, it's almost impossible unless you hold Eibishter for Chas v'Shalom Ashoita mit it doesn't even Roide von einer was es von Zahne Menschen was probiert ihn Zahne sagt. It's just impossible. So basically, so what do you call that? That's his cheshbon. But in a minute, it's a more gesagt. When a person, was the Eibishter brought in this koich from Bituchen. As a Mensch soll haben Bituchen and wissen, as ich dich beschaffen, and I know what's best for you, and I brought you down to this world, like Chazal say, the Neshama is in Jene Welt, and the Neshama can't make money and make schar and go up by just sitting up there like a malach. And my Eibishter schickt nicht darüber a Mensch, wie the Kotzke sagt, the Eibishter darf nicht come maluchen, the Eibishter darf Menschen. Why? Because that's why he brought you down. Maluchim, he has plenty up in Shemaim. Right? He has plenty of maluchim in Shemaim, he doesn't need that. And that's not why he brought you down. He brought you down because he wants to elevate you. So what did he do? So he took, Zuk Terazoy, Zuk the Chovos Halevavos, in the Shich, Zuk Chovos Halevavos, a lot schrabt this, and Avoid Salikim, Shaz Avoid Salikim schrabt the Klur. The roots na boire lahaitiv l'neshuma. To bring the lahaloisa l'dargal yoyne b'yoysa. She'ayni yechoyle lagiale. One reason why he's sending you down to this world. Not for the Eibishter. The Eibishter darf dan kovet, der hat kovet for millionen malucha, hat alles. What does he need? For one thing. Because he wants you, Achatayim v'mazele, giffen with him, v'tamed b'mivchem, and mitaved es Hashem. He wants you to that, and the ultimate place is by when you have a test. When you have a test, how do I know? Not how do I know. Let's not go to that. Not how do I know. A test is something where the person can actually know himself. When you take a test, you know yourself if you know your stuff or you don't know your stuff. A test, we said this many times over in the Maral. Maral says in the sign is not for the Irish. The Irish knows exactly where you're holding. And the sign is for yourself, for you to know where you're holding. When you go down and you realize that you're stealing from people money all day, or still a hike, you're going to McDonald's to buy meat, and that's how you're eating, and that's how you're living, you make yourself like you're from eat. You know yourself where you are holding. If you want to be open and think and have a head and have time, this is Vata, one of the brothers saying that we don't, you know what I mean? We don't.
1 second, so what is he saying? He's saying that we come down to this world
for one reason. So the Eibishter can give us much more, and so we can grow much higher. And the only way is through. The only way where a person can constantly know and look in the mirror to see where he's holding, if he's holding anywhere, and what's going on, is by going through. In first grade, you give a first grade test. In second grade, you give a second grade test. In third grade, and as it goes, and it goes, and it goes. And of course, so let's see. The Chochmah of the Eibishter was that a person should be tested to see where he's holding. If he's going to listen to the Eibishter, if he'll keep to his mitzvahs, or he'll say the heck with this, or the heck with this, enough is enough, enough is this, enough is that. We're talking about someone with das and seichel. We're not talking about chas from people that are in their own unfortunate situations. We're talking about, But that's the bottom line of the skill. So Chaim Hem does body. What did the Eibush to do? B'mivchan sheyireh b'oifem bured b'ayze derech hibucha. For himself to see in which test. B'mivchan ikach. Udam nivre k'shizukik. A person is born, he needs. A person is very needy. You need a lot in life. Tell me about it. The Eibush tries to put training wheels on it. That's why Chosovus writes in other places why he makes kids, when they walk, they keep falling, and they have teething, and they have all kinds of things. You get sick, and you get well, and you get temperature one day, and you feel this, and you feel that. These are all skills of coping skills that Hashem keep putting on people during their lifetime from day one, from the beginning. The kid cries and cries, all right? Then the kid starts teething, and the kid falls down, and he walks, and then he walks. It's like, well, we keep getting this, and we get sick, or we get disappointment, and we get all these things, negative things that happen in our life are really, it's like the shot. It's like the tetanus shot, at least the old shots, we're not going to go to the
COVID shots.
The new vaccines. But the old vaccines, the traditional ones from 50 years ago, right, were basically abyssal. I used to say by Chassanim, that's part of it, by the way, that why they give a chus and overnoon for 7 days. Like a vaccine, they put a drop of the machla and a drop of the thing, and you're supposed to be able to fight it your whole life. The ekelzich. So most chassanim will get ekelzich, but there are people with a weak immune system, and a lot of times they catch from the vaccine. There are people that get sick. You know that. It's like in the old world. So I used to always say, unfortunately, a lot of people after that they're very krank. In the whole day, so. I don't know where I was holding, but okay. So basically, the person is very needy, and that's how the Eibush created the person from day one, that he should need it, and he should constantly, and he does throw in the whole time skills. We get disappointment, we get no's, we get so to speak etch or whatever it is. But when the patch comes, in reality, really, a person, what is a patch supposed to be? Actually, he brings a pusik, actually a mishla. Where's the pusik? What is really a patch supposed to do? A patch is really supposed to really bring the kid back to the father. Oh, I realized that I messed up. In the reality, if patch were given the way it's supposed to be given, so to speak, it's a different problem. Meaning, there's two sides to the story. The Haile originally used to say, if you clean off schmutz, dirt, when it's wet, it goes on you, some mud goes on you, and you try cleaning it off, what happens to your shirt?
It sets in.
Right? But what happens if you wait a few hours and it becomes like completely dry? Zelbazachi says, he says, if you do it while, if you do it while it's a thing, you know what you end up doing? From your anger and from your melting, you know what you end up doing? To yourself and to the kid? Smearing the schmutz. Smearing it up. It was worth it this long, right? So I know, Shul Shradon used to say that things that he doesn't prepare for, he never hesitates from saying anything he thinks of, because he has a Kabbalah. Must be someone in the room that has to hear that. Someone there that has to hear that thing. And Mamaila, you say it. Whether it has shaykhs or not, you say it. You know what I mean? The bottom line is that as it dries, and I'm talking to myself also, because the bottom line is we're human and oracle. But that's where the other side comes in. Meaning, if you could learn that and know that, 1 second, when you go over to them tomorrow, you tell them, by the way, yesterday, I was watching you, and you think, first of all, it's a whole new story. He sees Sinishkas. He sees that really you love him. I just want you to understand the Chomer Inyan and what it says in Shulchan Aruch about it, and what it is and what it is. You shouldn't be the guy who he's talking a minute earlier and a minute later. Obviously, then don't even try that route. Don't even go and do that, because all you're going to do, like Bianca Kamenetsky one time said, Pesach Kron says over that Bianca Kamenetsky, he wanted to send his kid to a different yeshiva. But I got some yeshiva, he wanted to send his kid to a different, I got some, so Bianca told him, I want to tell you something, he says, why is it traditionally, in Klal Yisrael, even though that already started changing already also, but traditionally in Klal Yisrael, there was a minute that you start learning Mesechtes Bava Metzia. No, Eile Metzia is throughout history, hundreds of years. So it's jetzt getauscht. In sein Gresser gekommen noch einmal, die Idee, als in sein Gresser Mechanchen wie der letzte Pointed Jür, in ins haben bessere Mahalchem. But why, so Bianca Kamenetsky, why was it such a his Messiah? So it's very simple. Of course, it would make more sense. It tells Pesach Kron. Of course, it would make more sense to start Satacha, from somewhere was Hotzatin, Lamasa that we can't verstehen, in Bruches, in the Bruchen Shakel, but the ganze Sache, was ist ein Metzia, getroffen Metzia, hin. He said, I want to tell you something, he says. If you come home and he sees the father, macht a Bruche, via Zoy, or he sees the father missing Zman Krishma, as he starts Gemara learning, and he sees this, sees that, it's over. It's over. So Chazal, so part of the Mesorah became as Koydim Zomanos laying Gemara, something that the Tata does the Chab Ochet, as a Tata do. You know, there's a kid who's fighting to learn. Yo, I can't learn, I can't learn. So it comes to the point of time, kennst du Tata Chab that redt schon Bruches, redt schon ein bisschen Schnorre, redt schon du, he's got that, that's what I've said, they haben gedacht, die nimmer Sachen, was are not yet, but we're getting there, and buckle up. Right? So the father that's doing the same thing obviously has no chance. But even when you scream at the child, whatever, but if you do have a chance, and so to speak, it's right. You know how much better it comes out if it's tomorrow, and it's the cool time, you're sitting on the porch with him, a normal conversation, no raised voice, no nothing, and just telling him, I didn't give me air for 2 minutes, I just want to explain something, what bothered me yesterday. You know how much more chibur there is and more hearing and effectiveness and not being taken the wrong way and all that. But lamasa is lamasa. You know what I mean? You know.
Zwei gesinnt Patch, dieselbe tun wir
Patch, right? The ganze Akapunim. Let me do Tzirkan. So the person's nivrek, she dug the nitzach and dvurim achitz, the eine oichel mashke halbusha, and these are very, very close to the heart. Food, drinks, clothing, dita, isha. These are all very, very important things in life, and we can't, so to speak, listen, I need bread and water, I need a roof over my head, what am I going to do? I need this, so these are all stuff. But siva boide lehem, and the Taka gave us even a mitzvah called mitzvah seshtatlis, right? We have a thing in the Torah where we learn out the Chosavov at least holds like that very strongly. That is and you have a chiyuv to do that. You have a mitzvah, and the Taka gave it to us. But at the same time, not to he did it bedruchem misyumas, but he wants you to pick the kosher ways. He wants you to make your money in a way that is osgal no pitoida. And also bismanim is human. There's manim. There's certain times you're not allowed to. There's certain times that are meant to be a father and a husband. There's certain times that are meant to be in shul, to have a cider, something, a learning a little bit, or something. A bissel, epis, kvat itl metoida, that's like the metoida, yom v'layla, as the Rambam, nobody disagrees, everybody holds the mitzvah, is the Rambam says, it's very interesting, I know our excuses, but the Rambam says, when he brings all the people, a sick person, or this person, or that person, v'afila me, a fella, someone who's married, v'yesh le'isha ebunim, even he also is mechiv to learn a little something by day and by night. It's interesting. And bring alamina chaluim and alamina zach, and he puts this one in at the top, at the end. Even also he has to. We're not saying how much he has to, but he has to be a kavaya to matoida. So these are all zachas. So why all of a sudden is the meaning getting to flick, the davening is getting to flick, the learning is getting to flick, everything's getting to flick? You're failing. If you ask yourself, you take the quiz today, and you ask yourself, where am I holding where am I holding? Where do I have an F, a B, a plus, a minus? Talk to yourself. Look at yourself. Ask yourself. I don't know. I didn't learn Jewish word the whole week. I didn't learn the whole thing. The whole morning. I don't know nothing. I didn't davening. I missed Shachar, I missed there. I put on 4 for 5 minutes. I missed it. I davened it. I forgot daven mincha. I davened twice. Yeah. Someone tells you, listen. By me. I remember one time I didn't realize the time I missed mincha. So I remember there was a boy over there. So I asked, I don't know, I never had such a thing. I said, where I was able to, and I didn't realize because I didn't realize the time, and all of a sudden the time passed. What do you call it? So it's a daily thing. Maybe he tells me it's a daily thing.
Time
2 miles is daily. Whatever. It's like or 2 milchas for shachas. It's daily. Yeah. What do you mean? Never had it? I said no. It's my first time. It was just like you. I said it's my first time. So he says you never had it daily. Whatever. It's every other day. It's whatever. Like a punim. But look at yourself where you're holding. Ask yourself, where am I holding? What's going on with me? What is my Mila? I don't know what this. We're getting late. It started early also. Okay. Yeah, the Zaga life. So the main thing is really This is what we were talking about before. The things that the Eibishter wants us to get to, and this is what we have to remember about the Shtadlis, we will get there. And the Eibishter will make sure to get you the right connections and the right people and the right everything. I am what you need to have to get it. What's the das? This is what we have to go when we get out there. We have to tell this stuff. Ain't gonna help you. Go ask Potter if it helped him. Go ask anyone. The Brits, what do you call some Taki Gemeinde, Shem Shemayim, whatever they Heilige Kavunas were. But at the bottom line is, Ashala Yuda as Yosef. You don't realize at the end, you control your Yalab Yuda Lagialan. You can try all you want. All you're doing is doing the mitzvah of a shtadlis, and if it's got to happen, it's going to ignite. It's going to ignite. If he doesn't want it, you can do all the moves and all the right moves, and so many other people did these moves, and they make big money, and you end up what do you call? There aren't lawyers that are very wealthy, and there are lawyers that are very poor. There are doctors that are there are doctors that can't get the thing. And Lavdafka at school, he got weaker, lower marks than the other doctor. Not at all. That's not always the story. That's not always at all the thing. Sometimes you can do all you want, and when the person starts doing that, he starts getting relaxed. Hold it a second. Where am I doing? Where am I running? Where am I overdoing? Why am I overdoing so much? How do I know if I'm overdoing? I don't know. All I know is that my davening is ridiculous. My being home at time, my attention to my kids don't. You wonder, Chas v'Shalom, something comes out of one of these kids? What do you mean? They never had a father. They never had a normal mother. You have no relationship with them. Forget about if it is kosher, what you're doing, what you're not doing. We're not getting into all this. But the bottom line is, let's talk as humans, as a human being. A child needs. You know what I saw recently? I saw a very interesting, a couple of years ago actually it was. I saw a very interesting thing. As much as we know when it comes either by divorces, and definitely the Goyish world, but even the Yiddish world agrees to it, that a mother belongs to be with the children, right? That's how we know how it works, pretty much. But they write that there's much more, after a certain age, there's much more damage to a child without a father than without a mother. It goes to a certain age. Afterwards, the impact of what a father is really. I saw this written up somewhere, I can't remember where it was. But the child who doesn't have that kid that is 10, 12, 13 is growing, and he doesn't have, all he has at best is a friend, at least a friend.
In a good case.
Some parents not even. Now we can't even act those parents that are friends anymore. Forget about the level. The kid needs to have a role model. He needs to have someone to look up at. He needs to have someone to know that the Chabad, the Gesundheit, the Eibisch gemacht was for a reason. It's for the well-being of the child. I couldn't believe that report when it was written that the father later in life goes more important than the mother after a certain age. What?
Even in the Goyish world.
Yeah, it was a Goyish report. That after a certain age, it's more important that father in the thing, because he's the one that teaches you the tricks and teaches you life. Because the mother usually, at least in the traditional world, the old world, the mothers weren't so much teaching you life skills. The father, after you get to that 12, 13, at least.
And the new generation out there.
Akapunim. So the bottom line is, that's where we have to stop and ask ourselves. And when we run around doing Ishtadlis, seeing where we're holding in this mitzvah, why are we being such a brisker in this mitzvah? 1 minute. How many more mitzvahs am I oising with Allah Chasmuda? I'm doing so much of it on the expense of everything. I don't see myself on the lead of the Esther doing that. I don't see myself on Limit HaTorah doing that. I don't see myself on Vehicle. Why am I doing so much? Something is wrong. I know I have to do, but what is called I have to do? It boils down to when you think that you are doing. Step back. You can't do, you can't accomplish. You can't.
You can't accomplish.
What?
You can't accomplish.
You can't accomplish. You can't steal in the Oftin. Oftin is Darbishter. And slowly, as that cooks into you and realize it, and you mix it, like we always say, the coffee, the more you mix it, the better it tastes. The more you mix into it and know that I can't on my own, and Hashem Dafka wants it. And then we have all these other stuff that we have, all these Gavaldic stuff we said last week and other times, of that the more the person is a B'tayach, the more the Irish actually Ches Hashem Yisaveni. Well, we say the more someone is about the more he actually ends up getting things. So in reality, we have to remember that even though we have that mitzvah of shtadlus, we have to remember that at the end of the day, we can a lot of times. How many times do people say in life and business or whatever? I went crazy over doing this thing and I called 50 shatchunim. What a crazy I was. Or why I went crazy in this deal and this guy messed me up. Or I went crazy begging this partner to become my partner. It was the worst thing I could have ever done in life. Again, you think it was you who did it, but you were definitely beshtadlus, seeing a lot of things happen, and we have to really take it to ourselves and remember when we see those things happening. But Kapunim, we have to remember not to be such a. It's just listen. We can't guy. It's hard to stop over here because it's like
never ending.
It's just hard. But listen, the mitzvah Hashem. If we keep coming, no difference whether it's frequently, weekly.